Hey guys, today the audio could be a little bit wobbly because I'm also in a different place over the weekend right now. So just adjust with the audio, but let's get started. So, the topic of our video is social engineering one-on-one. In here, we're gonna cover like every type of the social engineering aspect because again, it's a umbrella, but based on that, there's like multiple subcategories, and each category also has other subcategories inside them. But we'll try to cover everything and give you a whole overview on what it and what it is not. So, but to begin with, let's say you could receive a phone call from someone basically claiming that they're from the bank, and then they know your name and your last four digits of your card, or they even know your recent transactions. They tell you like someone is trying to access your account, you need to verify your identity immediately. So everything does sound legit. So you give them like the verification code, which they must have just initiated the trigger, and since it comes at the same time, you just assume that, oh yeah, like, it must be like legit. So you pass on the details, and a few minutes later, uh, account is basically emptied, right? So the surprising part is they didn't basically hack your phone, but they like sort of social engineered you, and that is exactly what social engineering is. And we're gonna do a deep dive into that. So what is social engineering? It is basically an art of manipulating people into revealing their information or giving access or performing actions that benefit an attacker. Instead of attacking computers, attackers attack people because in many cases, breaking human trust is much more easier than breaking modern security systems. And the type of information that they are usually seeking are your passwords, banking information, credit cards, or verification codes to reset your passwords or lock you out of your accounts, and then company secrets, your personal information. Or they may actually like simply use it to install malware, or get access to your buildings to steal your couriers or even your apartment for stealing valuables and things like that. But at the core, social engineering isn't really about any technology. It's more based on the psychology of a human. So why does social engineering work? You might think I would never fall for something like that, but these attacks aren't designed to fool people, as we discussed in the previous phishing video, which is a sub part of social engineering, by the way. But we did a whole video on that and it's covered. You can check it out from the description or from the one of the pop-ups that you see up here. And then, so basically, they're just exploiting your emotions, such as trust, urgency, the greed, fear, creating some kind of fear, or the curiosity or a pressure that, oh, like, you gotta do it right now, kind of feeling. So the emotions take over, and then the critical thinking part of the brain often takes like a backseat. So that's why attackers try to rely on those to get the actions done. So, what are the major types of social engineering? Phishing. It's one of the most common forms of social engineering. Attackers pretend to be trusted people or organizations to try to like basically trick these people into revealing sensitive information or to like visit fake websites and stuff like that. But rather than hacking into their account, they'll convince you to hand off the information yourself. So you gave them the information, they didn't get it from they could technically from one of the social engineering aspects or tools, let's say, but the main reality is like it comes from you. So there are several subcategories inside phishing, like email phishing, spear phishing, whaling, smishing, wishing. Smishing is nothing but SMS plus phishing. Wishing is voice phishing, and then quishing is QR code phishing. Then there's clone phishing and angler phishing, and we have covered each type of that in a separate video already. Check it out. All right. So then we have pretexting. That involves creating a believable story or to create fake identity to get someone's trust. The attacker invents a convincing scenario that encourages the victim to reveal confidential information or perform an action that not normally they wouldn't. And the success of pretexting attack depends on how believable the story is. Oops. Then we have baiting. Baiting works like offering something attractive enough that the victim willingly interacts with it. So basically, the bait could be like a free download, free software, free gift, or any tempting offer. Once the victim takes the bait, the attacker gains like an opportunity to steal that information or infect the device with malware. Then we have quid pro quo, which is a Latin phrase meaning like something for something. So in this type of attack, they'll basically offer a service or benefits or rewards or some sort of assistance in exchange for the information or the access. So the victim would basically believe they're receiving something valuable while unknowingly helping the attacker. But yeah, then there's tailgating, which is also called as piggybacking. Unlike many social engineering attacks, those happen online. Tailgating happens in the physical world. So the attacker will basically follow a authorized person into a restricted building or secure area without proper access. And instead of bypassing that security system, they'll just rely on people's politeness, like, oh, could you hold the card for me? Because I have um, like I have heavy boxes in my hands or something like that, and that would basically give the access to the floor, and you'd just be there to do whatever the attacker was supposed to be, right? So that is what it is. And then we have Scareware, which uses fear as its primary weapon, and attackers display like warning signs that makes like victims believe their devices have been infected or hacked. The goal is to pressurize the victim into downloading fake security software or paying for some service or giving like remote access to their device. Then there's impersonation, which basically involves like pretending to be someone the victim already trusts. So this could be like IT technician, police officer, bank employees, or even like their coworkers, then their delivery company or government officials. And the attack succeeds because basically the people naturally do trust with someone that they're familiar with or their identities more than strangers. That's why. Then we have reverse social engineering, which is like the reverse of the normal turn attack about this. So instead of like approaching the victim first, they'll create a problem or exploit a solution so that the victim voluntarily goes seeks help from them. And this we have seen in like a lot of social settings and like even businesses and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's why. Then we have then we have watering hole attack. A watering hole attack targets a specific group of people rather than individuals at random. So instead of contacting the victims directly, attackers compromise a website that the target group frequently would visit, and then once they visit its infected website, as they normally would say, and then unknowingly they'll download that malware or get redirected to like a fake login page kind of stuff, and then they'll add the details there. So it's like the victim comes to them instead of like them chasing the victims. Then we have honey traps, which uses fake personal, romantic, or professional relationships to basically gain someone's trust again. And then they spend a lot of time building this relationship. It can be years and you won't even realize it. And that's why it's called a honey trap, because the dedication is just there. So before they ask for like some sort of sensitive information, money, or anything, just to blackmail you even. But again, that's just all exchange for money or something, right? Primarily. And then because the trust develops over like these amount of days or months or even like years, they didn't realize that they have been manipulated. And by the time they realize, or like someone, if they tell someone and they're like, this doesn't make sense, they get like sort of caught and catch up. But then there's also shoulder surfing, which is one of the simplest form of social engineering. Is like you don't need any tools or anything. You can simply stand behind someone, just like adding their pin or their passwords, and you can just look at it and know what it is and gain that confidential information. Then we have dumpster diving. It basically involves searching through discarded items to recover those useful informations. So that's why most of the corporate companies and the law firms usually shred those papers instead of just throwing them directly into it, because there could be like employee directory storage devices, even packages, or some sensitive information in those junk usually. and they'll take that into info and then prepare for future attacks or basically gain unauthorized accesses. So yeah, and then to give you the analogy that I've been dying to is, first start with phishing, like throwing bait into a lake, hoping someone takes the bait. Pretexting, like making some believable story, so someone basically would give you their own information. Baiting is leaving free gifts, hoping that the curiosity would lead to that trap. Quid pro quo would be like doing a favor in exchange for something valuable. Tailgating is following someone through a locked door without a key. And then scareware is like triggering a fake alarm for people to just panic and then taking advantage of that situation. Impersonation is like pretending to be someone just to gain that trust and obey you. Reverse social engineering, creating a problem so people ask you to fix it. And then watering hole. Um, it's like predator waiting at a watering hole because it knows its prey will eventually arrive. Then you have honey trap. It's like fake trust for years or months on just to exploit later. Shoulder surfing, watching someone enter a pin at ATM or even on a computer, you're logging into your Gmail or banking details, etc. Dumpster diving, when someone searches for confidential information. So, how do we protect ourselves? First of all, the best habit is always to pause. This is the golden rule. We have stressed enough on this. Slow down before making any important decisions. This is important for your life, just not for social skills or cybersecurity or social cybersecurity. Then verify identities through official channels and never share passwords or one-time verification codes. All the codes that you got on your phone are just for you all the time, irrespective of what the technology is. So unless if you requested for the code, you should never be sharing, nor sharing even if you requested for a code. Then you have question unexpected requests that you get in, even if they would appear like legit, but still do your verification. Be cautious on urgent messages demanding immediate action, and then also keep your devices and softwares up to date. You can always enable multi-factor authentication, which is also called MFA. But most importantly, don't let someone else control the face of the conversation. So you can always pause and step away from your devices and come back, then instead of like acting on something that you didn't have the time to think through. So social engineering wants you to like react quickly, and then cybersecurity professionals do the opposite. They pause, verify, and act. That simple habit alone can prevent like many attacks. So a quick recap, social engineering is a practice of manipulating people rather than hacking computers. And then these attacks rely on psychology, trust, fear, urgency, curiosity, authority, greed, and sympathy to influence these victims. And then some of the common techniques could be phishing, pretexting, baiting, social engineering, dumpster diving, shoulder surfing, stuff like that. Along with these attacks, there's also different methods. They all have one goal: to convince some person to do something they normally wouldn't. So understanding these techniques would basically be one of the best ways to protect yourself online. Just understanding that, oh yeah, like honey trap exists, so I know like what they're trying to do and stuff like that. All right, so hope this video was helpful. I know this was fast. I'm just having a vacation, but works work. So please give it a big thumbs up if this was helpful, and this also helps the channel, but also encourages me to make more videos like this. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.